Mike Peck from the Rockford IceHogs because we like Mike, and we've talked to him about things other than hockey if he wanted to.
Absolutely.
Mike, good morning.
Hey, Riley, Joe, good morning. Good to hear from you.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, despite the kind of gloomy spring weather, but you know what? It's greening everything up, so it's not a terrible day.
Yeah, greening everything up. I'm looking at green grass, and I'm looking at some green dollars based upon yesterday's announcement.
Yeah, a big announcement yesterday, and kind of the next. Everyone says chapter, I say unit. Kind of the next unit of Rockford IceHogs hockey, and same thing for the BMO Harris Bank Center. So yesterday was a pretty significant day, and I think something that's going to really bode well for the community for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, we'll get to what's going to happen there in a minute. But one of the lines from the press release or the announcement yesterday that stuck out to me was the line. I'm paraphrasing: the Blackhawks now official part, or the IceHogs official part of the Blackhawks family. What was the relationship before that wasn't family in the way that it's used?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were kind of the stepchild before, or before the Blackhawks have stepped in to purchase the team, if you will. We're kind of part of the family. The players are here. They run the coaching staff and the hockey operations, but the actual organization was separately owned, obviously, before the Blackhawks have stepped in here. So, yeah, it's a great question. Now there's going to be some more resources at our disposal. Obviously, the Blackhawks have done a tremendous job over the last, almost 15 years now with their marketing, and winning obviously helps a whole lot. Let's not forget that. But they've done a really good job of building back up their fan base, because if you guys remember back in 2006, the Blackhawks were actually rated as the worst professional sports team in North America out of any of the four major sport groups.
Number 122 in Sports Illustrated. I remember that article.
Yeah, that was painful.
Yeah, and then it was just a short 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, where they were on the cover of the same magazine, right? SI had them on the cover of the magazine as the franchise that saved hockey. So, they had a really quick turnaround, and I'm really looking forward. Now, he asked about the relationship with them, Joe. They've always been there to help us. When we've had questions, we've gone out to the United Center to have meetings with them. So, it was like, hey, we need help with some of our game operations. What are your thoughts on this? Kind of bouncing stuff off. Now I think they're really going to dive into what we're doing as a business, and I think it's gonna be tremendous for the IceHogs.
Yeah, this is I'm detecting, and Joe and I were looking at this. This seems to be a win-win across the board.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, and I think the most important aspect of this whole situation is the fact that the Blackhawks are signing a 15-year lease agreement with the arena. I think a lot of people, the fear is, oh, geez, the Blackhawks are buying the team. Where are they going to move them? Well, they're not moving the IceHogs anywhere. They're going to stay right here in Rockford, and they're going to stay at the arena. The arena's going to get some upgrades. And the long-term viability of the IceHogs is what's most important right now. And that's what the Blackhawks are doing. They're making this feasible to stay in Rockford for a really long time.
I've heard other people talk about the Rockford location and how it relates to Chicago and the Blackhawks, and maybe you can't confirm this or don't want to, but I've heard that the Blackhawks love where Rockford is because one, it is a demotion. I mean, you have to leave the city. You have to drive through some cornfields to get to Rockford if you go there. But it's also close enough, where they can get them in for a night game if they need them that night. Is that an accurate statement of how happy the Blackhawks are with where Rockford is right now?
Yeah. Well, first off, Rocky Wirtz and Danny Wirtz have an affinity for Rockford. They, every time Rocky's been out to a game, and he comes out to a game maybe once every other year, and he loves the arena. He loves Rockford. They have ties here with some of their other business ventures. So this isn't a foreign land to them. They know Rockford really well. And, from a business standpoint, and obviously now with the IceHogs and the affiliation over the last 14 years. So there's that aspect that they truly like Rockford, and they love being here. So that's number one. Number two, you're right on, Joe. Like, I've talked to people around the hockey community over the years, and there's some situations. I'll use Toronto as an example, the Toronto Maple Leafs, where their affiliate is in Toronto. They share the same practice facility. And when you get sent down from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Toronto Marlies, you literally pack up your bag and you walk across the hall, and that's it. Sometimes when and this goes for baseball as well, when you get sent down to the minors, I think sometimes the best thing for the player is to get out of that situation and go down to the minors and get out of the market, clear your head, and just be away. I think it's got to be a big mental hurdle for a lot of these young players to be sent down from the parent club and literally walk across the hall, and you're in the locker room right across the hallway because you're not away from the parent club. And I guess in some situations when you're getting sent down and another player is getting called up, I mean, you're probably passing him in the hallway.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, Joe, Rockford is close enough where it's easy transit, and that's exactly why the Blackhawks had eyed Rockford way back in 2006, 2007 when they approached the city about bringing an affiliate here. Is the proximity to Chicago? They were in Norfolk, Virginia before, and that. I mean, I don't know how many flights out of O'Hare to Norfolk there are each day, but it can't be a whole lot. So they save time and money by putting their affiliation here in Rockford, and it's worked out extremely well.
One of the things that, when all of this, when the buzz was going on about something coming down between the city and the Chicago Blackhawks involving the Hogs, all sorts of speculations being kicked around. Okay, what's going to happen? Is what was announced yesterday? Is that what's going to happen? Are they going to pull out? Are they going to move the team? Are there going to be a name change? And that's the one thing that's kind of been left hanging a little bit. Joe and I talked about this a bit earlier. We've always loved the name IceHogs. I can remember when the team made its debut and the announcement was made for what the name was going to be, and we were all, gosh, that's a great name. What a cool name. Any chance of that being changed, or are we going to stay right where we are as Rockford IceHogs?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping on the surface, I hope it stays IceHogs. I mean, I'm with you. I love the name. It's unique. There's no other IceHogs out there, and it's the minor leagues. It's nice to have a fun, somewhat quirky name. It is a bit of a quirky name, but it's great. I love the logo. We've never changed our logo, guys. Like, Riley, the logo you saw in the IceHogs jersey back in October of 1999 is the exact same logo that's on the jersey that was on the jersey last night when the IceHogs beat the Wolves. So it's, I'm not going to compare it to the Green Bay Packers or New York Yankees, but look at those two iconic franchises. They've never changed their logo. And again, we have a cartoon pig on our jersey. I'm not comparing them, but I think there's something to be said for consistency and a brand. And I think that's the most important thing is the brand. Now, the question about, will the name change? I mean, I can't answer that question. I don't know what the thought process is going to be. And, I'm sure there'll be conversations on, branding and, the Blackhawks need to learn, what the IceHogs mean to this community. I mean, they know for the most part, but they're really going to dive in. And this community has been extremely good to this hockey team. And if it wasn't for the support from the community, Rocky Wirtz is a brilliant businessman. There's not a chance he would have, taken a gamble, if you will, on buying the Rockford IceHogs if this community didn't embrace this hockey team. So, our brand is strong, and hopefully we can keep that around and keep it going.
About a month ago, we had Craig Thomas on from Rave when the announcement was made that the city would be selling the club. It seemed like everybody knew that the Blackhawks were going to be the eventual owners, and this was just kind of, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Was there any other potential buyer that might have taken over the IceHogs?
I honestly don't know. I'm guessing there weren't because that RFP that went out was pretty specific on who could qualify to bid on the franchise. So I don't know that question, but as I understand it, the way it was set up, it was pretty much set up. You basically had to own an NHL team, and you had to commit to keeping the IceHogs in Rockford. There were some other elements in there for sure, but I don't know the specifics. So, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. But again, it's great to have this team locked up here in Rockford for the long haul.
So now we've got a 15-year, lease agreement to continue playing at the BMO. So that's going to take us through 2036. That's cool.
Yeah. I was trying to do the math yesterday. I'm like, 2036, I guess that's not quite time for me to retire. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen after.
You'll be re-upping like Jim Nantz.
Geez, yeah. So it's funny, and you guys know time just flies. I mean, this is the 14th year that the IceHogs and the Blackhawks have been matched up as affiliates, and 15 years. Next year would be our 15th season with the Blackhawks, and 2007 doesn't seem like that long ago, but 15 years is it's almost unprecedented. It would be unprecedented in the American Hockey League if it was an affiliation agreement. The 10-year affiliation agreement that the IceHogs have with the Blackhawks initially was the longest that the AHL had ever seen. But obviously this is a lease agreement, so it's a little bit different. But it's again, it shows the commitment the Blackhawks and the Wirtz family have to the IceHogs and to the city of Rockford.
Next season, first of all, do we have a time frame on when this BMO Center renovation is going to be? I know it's going to start after the season. Do we have how long it will take?
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a two-phase project. I think most of the significant renovations probably won't happen until next year. There's still plans that have to be ironed out, but there's going to be definite renovations that'll take place this summer. Number one is the arena floor is going to get replaced. Obviously, that's something that really isn't a visual difference to the fans. So the floor has the ice surface. For the ice surface, that's why the floor will get replaced. And then I believe the video board is going to get replaced as well. And there may be some other ancillary LED boards in the building. So those will probably that'll be the most significant change that fans will notice for this upcoming year. But again, I believe there's still a few hurdles to jump over to clarify what is going to be done this summer and what won't be, and then everything else to carry over to next year. And really, the one item that I'm really excited about, well, the video board's going to be great. We have a really good video board now, but just to get an upgrade there. But the atrium and the entrance to the BMO is going to get redone eventually, and I think that's well overdue, and that'll really help modernize the building a little bit. The concourses as well. So there's going to be some really cool areas in the building and stuff that it's 40 years old. And I was talking to someone yesterday before the press conference. Like, you think back to 1979, 1980. What was relevant then, or what is relevant now wasn't relevant then from an amenity standpoint. So it's going to be nice to have a little bit wider concourses on one end of the building and have a nicer atrium entrance way by the box office.
So other than maybe some new boards and in a new box office situation, what about game operations? Is somebody new coming in and how the games are run? Will fans notice anything or anything different or hear anything different when they go to a game next year?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I can't answer that as of yet. We'll have some, our staff. Most of our staff is still unfortunately on furlough. So hopefully we can get our staff back together here as soon as possible, and we're going to have new staff members, and of course we're going to have a lot of input and influence from the Blackhawks. So something we always try to do is provide a fresh game operations experience, and that's kind of a generic term. Basically, entertainment. We try to keep the entertainment fresh, whether it's the promotions, whatever it might be. There's a lot of stuff that does carry over from year to year because they're kind of staples. But I think there's going to be, fresh eyes on this, and there'll be a new influence, which will be great. And again, hopefully we have a few more resources at our disposal, and we can really provide a fresh, platform for the fans when they come in and really enjoy that IceHogs experience even more. And that's the most difficult thing in entertainment is keeping it fresh. And whether you go to one game a year or if you're a season ticket holder that makes every game. We want to make sure that what we're doing isn't growing stale, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure.
One of the things I like, Mike, is the fact you're a broadcaster, you're a hockey guy, you're a sports guy, you're not an actor. Getting the subtext through all of this, you seem genuinely pleased and into what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't know how could I explain it. I guess it's another fresh start, and The team has been on such solid footing here in Rockford for such a long time, but to have now the Chicago Blackhawks influence, as owners of the team, I think it's going to be tremendous, and I'm truly excited for it. I'm excited for IceHogs fans, just for the standpoint of this team's not going anywhere for a really long time, and you guys have been around this town long enough to see a lot of things come and go, and this team's not going anywhere. So I think that's the most important aspect right now.
Yeah, having a 30-year minor league franchise, that's not something a lot of cities can say. And we'll be able to say that if things go to plan through 2036. While we're one last question, let's talk about the parent club here, the Blackhawks. The start of the season pretty good, but then we've hit a rough patch lately. What's the status of the Hawks right now? Are they good or not good?
I think they're on the cusp of being pretty good again, and you see that night in and night out where their performance is somewhat inconsistent, but they got a young team and they got a lot of really good pieces. So it's going to be interesting to see what Stan Bowman does at the trade deadline, which I believe is Monday, who they're going to move and who they're going to keep. But it's one of those situations that they're on the fringe of making the playoffs, but I they got a lot of good pieces where I don't know what they deal and what they want in return. So they're in a very peculiar spot. Because again, they've kind of hit the reset button, and Kevin Lonkinen in goal has been outstanding. I think he's definitely been probably the biggest surprise. Obviously, Jonathan Taves hasn't played a shift yet this year. Kirby Dach just recently returned from his injury, so they've had some key guys out of the lineup, and they've still been able to stick in the playoff race. So, I think if you were to grade the team, it's probably about a B or B minus. And I don't want to make it sound like that's slighting him, because I think Jeremy Colleton's done an awesome job with that club with the injuries he's had to deal with and the turnover on that roster.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's not an easy gig. Not an easy gig by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you're replacing a legendary Hall of Fame coach too.
Yeah, that's not usually the job you want, but you're going to take it every time just because it's your opportunity. But yeah, it's not easy to replace the legend, right?
Yeah, you don't want to. See, that's why nobody's lining up to replace you. Yeah, can't do it. Guy's been with the Hogs forever.
Those shoes are a little bit smaller, guys. I think it'll be okay.
Mike, we always appreciate the accessibility. We appreciate you jumping on with us at a moment's notice to fill us in on how things are going. We're thrilled with how it's going. Thrilled to know that you're around and we can continue this conversation for years to come.
Yeah, Riley, Joe, we appreciate the support and thanks for having me on this morning.
You bet. Anytime.